All right, boys, welcome back to another phenomenal episode of Podium Talk Podcast. Today we have Lilia Bingham on from Georgia Tech, representing Georgia Tech. A phenomenal podcast. We really got into a lot of good stuff. One of our favorite interviews, personally, and probably one of our best episodes. Hope you enjoy it. Welcome to Podium Talk.
Sounds good. Sounds
Welcome back to another phenomenal episode of Podium Talk. Today we have on Lilia. Brief introduction, Lilia.
Hi, I'm Lilia Bingham. I'm a fourth year at Georgia Tech. I'm studying environmental engineering. I've been powerlifting. I had my first powerlifting competition about a year ago, and yeah, that's about it. Yeah, there's not a lot going on outside of school and lifting at the moment, so that's where I'm at.
I feel that for sure. Training recap. Tony, training.
I got candy in my mouth, but I don't even know, man. It's pretty good, I guess. It's week one, so like I don't really know what's going on. But like hopefully I can do something for real on this week four and then do even more the next one. But nothing really hurts. So I'm kind of excited about that. Like, well, no, things actually hurt, but like not as bad as they once did. So yeah, getting better every day.
Phenomenal. Avery.
Man, I'm in a good headspace right now, like a really good one. But I'm being more accountable and everything. I'm not gonna go too crazy and all that. But we're just gonna build, man. Just build, build, and build. Nothing too crazy. Like my body weight is low, so bench is in the gutter. But everything else we're just gonna keep building on.
I'm glad to have you back into the world now. For me, it's been pretty solid. We're about to change some things up and get back into the race. They don't believe in us, Tone, but we're there. We're there. Lilia, how's it been since the cup? Getting back into it.
So okay? Cannot see my screen very well right now. So I took about 5 days off of the meet, which is the longest that I've taken after a meet. Like usually I'm back by like Tuesday after the meet. But I took about 5 days, and getting back has been a little bit rough. Like just like getting my technique back and like remembering how to lift has been a little bit of a struggle. I think the lift that's been struggling the most is squat, to be honest. Like walking out like 2 reds feels just heavy as fuck. And so today I squatted, and like I realized like 5 hours after, I was like, wait a minute, it didn't feel heavy when I walked out 270. I was like, okay, cool, we're back. But just like aches and pains, and like I'm sore all the time, and so just like kind of getting back into the rhythm of lifting pretty regularly again. But I think now, like I'm on like week one. I think next week will feel a lot better.
Phenomenal. But yeah, so we had a little brief intro. Let's dive a little deeper, kind of look back. You said there's not a lot going on outside of powerlifting now, but back, where are you from? Where'd you go to high school? All of that.
Yeah. So I've like lived in Northwest Georgia basically my whole life. But I went to high school in Hiram. I went to Hiram High School. And in high school I did like a bunch of sports. I mostly did swim, and then I did cross country, and then I like dabbled in wrestling for like a month, and it was not for me. So I stopped that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's cool. It's cool that you like tried wrestling, and I just wanted to make a note that now we've had 2 swimmers on here
Back
in
to
a
back.
podcast about powerlifting.
Back to back, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I did
Yeah,
wrestling for a meet, and then I got beat by a girl and I quit. So that was that.
yeah, I did a couple of meets. I think I probably had like 5 matches total, maybe 4. And right after I won my first match, I quit because like after every match I would get this like crazy adrenaline rush, and even like win or lose, like I would just be like sobbing afterward. Like it would just be like this like emotional overload. It was so weird. And like I won a match and I still had that, and I was like, this sucks. Like and so I quit the next day.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Other sports I stayed in for a while, but yeah.
Valid, valid. And then what led you to tech? Where did that transition come from?
Well, because I'm in state, it's kind of like the logical place to go. Like, okay, I'm good at math, I'm good at science. Should probably use the scholarship to go to Georgia Tech. And luckily, like I discovered environmental engineering. I was like, oh, okay, like I'm actually interested in environmental stuff and I can apply that in an engineering way instead of just like studying like chemical engineering, which doesn't really resonate with me at all.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
you got that plan behind you. Yep.
Yeah, I do. I've had this for like 3 years now, I think. It was like this tall when I got it, and now it's
Mm-hmm.
huge. Um, I have a bunch
No,
more at my mom's house, but like I was in Michigan over the summer for work, and she like took care of all of them because like they take up so much space, and like I needed every bit of space I could in my little sedan to get all my stuff up to Michigan. Um, but my new apartment is kind of cramped, and so this is the only one that can really fit in here.
I like it.
no, but yeah, I was gonna say, well, it's really cool that you like went to tech without exactly a plan and found out you really liked it, because college is college, and your first 2 years are like non-major classes or whatever. But I don't know. I kind of just think of tech like usually when kids go to tech, it's like I definitely want to do this. So,
Oh yeah, like I knew that I wanted to do environmental engineering going in.
oh,
Um, I've actually like one of the few people I know that hasn't changed my major since I've gotten here, which is super like it gives me a lot of peace of mind, like knowing that like I didn't have to change course at any point because I knew what I wanted to do. Um, but yeah, there didn't seem to be like any clear paths outside of going to tech, if that makes sense.
okay, I got you.
And then so now you're at tech, and now what led you from going to tech to now trying this powerlifting thing?
So I didn't so I was really active throughout high school, like I mentioned. And my first semester of college, like I started during COVID. It was just like really hard to like get to the gym. Like I was trying to handle like all my classes and like readjusting to like this new life that I had at school. And so I didn't really go to the gym at all like my first semester, which like thinking back on it's kind of bizarre. My second semester, like I went through some stuff and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym and kind of just like use that as like an outlet. Um, and I think it was the summer after my sophomore year. I was living on campus because I was doing research in one of the labs on campus, and I was lifting at the gym. At this point, I had like kind of been doing like SBD and then just like whatever accessories I felt like. And the day that I benched 135 for the first time, and I have the video, it's really horrible. Like it's the ugly, it's so bad. But I got it up, and if you guys know Mike Gabara, he was there and he like spotted me for it, and he was like, "Hey, you should join GT Barbell." And I was like, I told myself that I would join GT Barbell if I could bench a plate, and now I can bench a plate. So I joined in the fall, and I didn't compete in the fall. Like I kind of like was still getting to like know the sport a little bit, and I attended the collegiate clash in November, and I just like fell in love. Like just like watching it, it was just so exhilarating to watch. Um it's just so it resonated a lot with me. And so then I signed up for state in February, and the rest is kind of history.
Mhm. Very valid. Yeah. States was a nice meet to be your first one, 3 platforms, 3 days, a good crowd,
Yeah,
and a pretty solid warm-up room with Trueborn stocking it out. But you said you started
yeah.
your freshman year kind of training for powerlifting. How many years have you been in it, or how many years have you been focused with powerlifting?
Um, I would say I've only really been focused on powerlifting for like a year and a half because like I said, like I was just kind of like shitting around in the gym. Like I was doing whatever
Okay.
like pleased me for the day. Like I kind of had a plan, but like it wasn't anything structured.
Yeah.
Um, like I was just kind of like doing whatever.
For sure.
Just like messing around with like SPD and stuff, and then
Yeah. I think the summer that like I really like started to try to do powerlifting stuff, I think I went into it being able to like bench 115. I could squat 175 or yeah, 175, and I could deadlift maybe 185 or 200.
Mhm.
So
And then when you first started, did you think like a year and a half, I'm going to be winning money meets easily?
No, not at all. Um, I didn't think that I didn't know that there was any money in the sport. I was just like, because you never think that money's going to be in a hobby. Like I have coworkers up in Michigan who like play like field hockey for fun. Like you'd never think that like something like that would make you money.
Mm-hmm. Valid. Did you have a
so
question?
you
the
went
day
to
the day that I can make some money off of this, like I'll feel legit. I probably won't feel legit until then, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely don't feel legit still. It's just like it was a fun little local meet and
yeah,
it
nah, but
just happened to
I
come with some
probably
money.
because you are kind of more like like at this point like an actual athlete. He's like, I mean, I live in the middle of nowhere, and if someone came in my gym like your size lifting your weights, like everyone else would flip out.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I don't know what weight I would have to lift in like like what weight I would have to lift to be more impressive than like you walking in like a normal commercial gym in the middle of nowhere, not around Atlanta or something where we do this
Okay.
stuff.
Okay. I'd like forget about like because I don't go to commercial gyms anymore. Like I think I went to Crunch like once at the very beginning of prep, like 10 weeks ago. Um, and it's just such a weird environment. Like
And
props to
it's
you
so
for
fun.
training in it. Props to you for
wait,
I've
training in commercial
seen
ones.
so many people be at Crunch, like or in those gym, like so many powerlifters from Atlanta
Yeah.
started at Crunch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
well, where do you consistently train at?
Right now I train mostly at MBB. I did most of my prep at Trueborn, just because I had the time to drive out there. But I live in Kennesaw, and so the logical decision is to train at MBB. I'm thinking about doing a mix of MBB and DNA, going into Cnats. But right now I train pretty exclusively at MBB.
Yep, DNA is the way to go. I like it.
Yeah, it is, but I trained at MBB a lot, like during the Jamal Browner era, and I like MBB. The energy in there is nice, but yeah, I mean DNA is crazy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I mostly train in the morning, and so like I kind of get like the quiet hours, which I prefer. Um, but yeah, like I kind of stay away from MBB in the afternoon, evening because it like I am very much a reserved person in the gym. Like I usually try to like mind my own business, just like get my stuff done. But there are just so many people there in the evening, it's just way too much for me.
Mm-hmm. I
It's crazy
know,
small. Yeah.
I know KSU kind of had more of a max exodus out of MBB because of some issues that were arising. Is it more like what's the main population there outside of, the wrapped lifters and like all the untested? Like is Georgia Tech kind of populating it a little bit more?
No. So the only people that really train there from Georgia Tech anymore are me and Juliet. And because most people from tech don't have cars, and the people that do have cars have the time and the resources to like go out to Trueborn or to DNA. Like a lot of people are going to start training at DNA this semester. Um, but yeah, right now it's just me and Juliet, and then like the main population that like I interact with are like in like the early, like not early morning, but like midday. It's like usually like younger powerlifters like Alex Marshall, and then just like throughout the day, like are sprinkled in like just like middle-aged people, just like coming to like work out at a gym that they like. Because like honestly, like the private gym environment is just like a lot better. Like even if you're not really training for powerlifting, you know?
Yeah, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, I know when I was at Kennesaw, I definitely didn't take advantage of Marietta. I kind of went to the rack. I mean, I wasn't deep into powerlifting yet, but as soon as I left and came back to Athens, I noticed like, man, I really missed out when I could have been in
Yeah.
there training, especially because everybody learned how to bench it without me, and now I don't know how to bench. But yeah, before we get too far down the road, let's kind of dive into your performance at the Cup. Talk about, your goals going into it, and at the end of the day, like, were you happy? Were you not happy with it? And kind of how your prep went.
Yeah, okay. So my main goal going into this meet, and I told my coach this, I told Grayson this, Grayson handled me, that my main priority was to go 9 for 9. And then everything after that would just go as it did. And I obviously I wanted to like win the money, but like that, like if I didn't win $500, it wasn't the end of the world. Like it's not like I'm losing money. Um, and so going into the meet, so I had a 2 block prep. My first block of prep went amazing. At least for actually it just went amazing for squat really, but I hit 341 5 weeks out. And then my peaking, like my actual peaking block, I squats were like just not feeling right. Like I was having some center of mass issues. The heaviest squat that I successfully did during that last block was 330. And it moved pretty rocky every time. Just like couldn't keep my balance, which sucked. Um, I my bench was pretty strong, like the 3 blocks coming into the meet. Like I benched pretty much the same thing every single block. It just got a little bit better every time. And deadlift. So back in July or August, I asked my coach, like, hey, can we incorporate some sumo into my program? I think I might want to switch. And that first block, it blew up. Like I hit a huge rep PR by the end of the block on ascending sets. And I was like, okay, I want to switch. And I switched and I had a really big like singles block after that. And ever since then, like it's just kind of like the strength like hasn't really shown up. Like I don't know like what it is, if it's just like how I'm built, like if there's something like with how my hips or like how my hip anatomy is. But I was having like a lot of hip fatigue, and I just like couldn't hit the kind of numbers that I thought I would be able to, given like the big rep PR that I hit and the single that I hit the block after that. Um, but 2 weeks out, I was scheduled to hit my heaviest deadlift of prep, and I couldn't even like I couldn't even hit 5 kilos below my all-time PR. And I was just like distraught because I definitely wanted to hit more than that day. And I was like trying to take that as a last warm up, and the fact that I could barely get it off the floor was really demoralizing. And so I text my coach PJ, and I'm like, okay, I don't think I can comfortably pull sumo at this meet. And like, luckily, I'd been pulling conventional on my secondary day, because my hip sucked so bad that I couldn't pull sumo twice a week. And he gave me the go ahead to just like strip the bar, warm back up conventional, like take a minute, obviously, warm back up conventional, and like see what an 8 or 9 would look like. And so I did that, and I hit the weight that I missed with sumo. And so then those last 2 weeks of prep, we were just doing conventional twice a week, just to like make sure that I remembered how to do it enough to be able to do it on the platform and still hit somewhat close to what I was expecting to hit sumo. So that was definitely a big curveball in the prep. Um, so coming to the meet, like I said, I wanted to go 9 for 9. I definitely wanted a 400 kilo total, and just to have a good day. Like actually, my main priority, my second priority, was to have a really good day and just have fun. Because my first 2 preps, I was just like so nervous for the meets. Like I definitely get like performance anxiety. Just like I get so nervous and like hype up this thing so much in my head that like like I get in my own way.
Mm-hmm.
And at Cnats, that really got in my way. I went 6 for 9 at Cnats last year. Didn't even like match like my gym PR that I hit at a pretty low RPE for squat, and then missed my third for bench, which like that was just a bad attempt call, I think. And then missed my third deadlift just because like it was just like almost there, but it wasn't quite there. And so I was just really worried about that meet, and like it caused me to lose a lot of weight the week of the meet. And I was in the same flight and platform as my friend Juliet, and she was just like having like a blast. Like she was smiling the whole time. She was just there to have fun, get a deadlift record. Like she was just having a really good time. And so ever since then, I was like, that's how I want to be when I hit the platform again. And I think I succeeded at that. I didn't go 9 for 9, but I think I had a really good day. Like I was able to enjoy it for what it was. And I think that's probably the best it could have gone, I think. Even if I did miss my third deadlift, but
Yeah, I
No,
mean, I mean,
that's great to hear, and I'm glad you eventually said his name because I was gonna. You kept saying my coach, and I was like, you want to like throw PJ out there because I talked to him a
yeah,
little bit. I like the guy. He's a strong dude, you know. So
yeah,
but then it's I'm glad you touched on that a little bit because I'd actually been talking with Tony this week, not even to like get super into anything, but like yeah, no, I mean a lot of times we just get so much in our head when at the end of the day we're lifting weights like and
exactly.
you know what you train for, so like do your best to stay the hell out of your head, get out there and let it fucking rip, you know. So
Exactly. Like, yeah, like I'm very like I've always been like very in my head when it comes to any sort of sport. And I didn't want to have that anymore. Like I stopped using ammonia. I just like wanted to like because this is a hobby. Like at the end of the day, this is all of our hobbies. Like unless we're like unless we ever get our pro cards and shit, like this is a hobby and we do this for fun. And so there's no need to get super stressed over it. Um, and so that's kind of the mindset that I wanted going into it.
Tony,
I'm
you
looking
look
at
like you have something to say.
yeah, I'm looking at Tony's face about the hobby. It is a hobby, but you know, we want to be good.
Yeah, yeah. No, I say Tony really didn't like that because it
No,
really grinds his gears that like not anyone in particular, but like more people don't take it more serious as is. But that's not for you example because like you obviously have a great head on your shoulders, want to be strong and all that. But I was about to say Tony just looked like he was about to like tweak out or something.
no,
So
I mean, everyone's just talking about me or whatever. I mean, no, like, of course, like, it's great to have fun with it or whatever. I don't really, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know. Like, that's for another podcast or whatever. But,
yeah, we didn't have to like dive into your mentality or
yeah,
anything.
No,
no,
I
I
think
was just
definitely.
like
touching on that. I was
no,
just
because I
touching on that
agree. Like
because like that mentality, in my opinion, more likely led to her success. Like the fact that she wanted to have fun in the day. But I mean, obviously, like this is what you prepared for, so you have some kind of goal, you know. But
yeah,
Well, she
I think
said she agreed.
yeah. So like I definitely take powerlifting really seriously, and like I'm not saying that like having fun and taking it seriously are mutually exclusive. Like I take the sport very seriously. Like if I have a heavy lift the next day, like I'm not doing anything for anyone. I'm just going to like stay in my little bubble, do whatever I need to do to have like good variables for the next day.
Okay.
Um, and I definitely like I can commiserate with like finding it frustrating when people don't take it seriously. But like I don't know, like everybody has their own thing that they're trying to do with the sport. And maybe they don't want to go to Cnats, maybe they don't want to go to Cnats, maybe they're just doing it because they like squatting, benching, and deadlifting and they just want to have a little fun with it.
yeah, no, I mean, there's different levels and entry points. So I mean, shit, like there's people out there who their main thing is like I power lift, but like I'm a videographer, I take pictures. You know,
Yeah.
there's all access points to it. So
For sure, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't, my biggest issue is like most people who say it's a hobby are the college kids that kind of just hopped in a club and then
Mm.
they don't stay on program. You know, they're still going out Friday nights, but every week in their prep. That's when I hear hobby, that's what I think of them saying.
Oh, okay.
But you saying it, I mean, I know you're
yeah,
serious about it. I know you're the female lead of Georgia Tech, and but I understand
yeah,
what you mean
no,
by that.
it was really
Yeah.
more speaking on the stigma of like historically, like after like modern raw powerlifting like started to pick up, like what the sport was for the most part, except for your champions and everything, was like college kids doing the sport because that's the most convenient time where you
Yeah.
either have like funds coming in, you've got buddies around, so morale's just always high, that kind of thing. Whereas like you don't have to like stop lifting weights when you're 24 or 25 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like especially if you're gonna go to the gym and then someone sees your ass squat benching or deadlifting, like why you just gotta like stay like why can't you train in a fashion? Because you're obviously like picking up the barbell anyway, basically.
For sure.
No,
for
I mean,
sure.
it was definitely when I was in college, it was definitely more of like I agree with what she was saying. It was definitely more of a hobby or whatever. And that's yeah, like going into state and stuff, like I don't even really remember like why I just wanted to compete and I just wanted to show like that I got stronger from my last meet or whatever. And I wasn't thinking the way I think now, but now that I'm out of college, it's like it's different now. And also after I went to nationals. So uh yeah, no, definitely like I guess I have fun with it, but like I definitely have like a lot of goals and stuff. So
Mm.
uh I just think differently there. But anyways, speaking of nationals, you went to Cnats last year and you said that was your second meet.
Yeah.
So and you said you got like really anxious like about these first two meets you did. So all of us did state, which is kind of dope. I didn't actually even think about that. All of us did state. And that was fun. That was whatever. But how did it affect you like mentally going into like you must have been crazy nervous going into CNATs. That was your second meet, like 2 months after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So right after state, I started with my coach PJ. And so we had like a 7 week turnaround, or 8 week, I think, before CNATs. And so um obviously like you don't expect to like see a lot of progress in that time, and that's fine. But so there was like the flying out to Texas. Like I don't fly, like I haven't flown since I was like 9 or 7, I think. And so like just like the flight itself was really like nerve-wracking. Like I got like a stress rash on my arms just for some reason flying to Texas. And then you're like in this Airbnb with like everybody from Georgia Tech, and like I don't know, it reminds me of like being at home with like my 4 siblings and parents. Like it's a lot of people in a pretty small space. And I don't know, like I've noticed that like this, especially this meat prep, that as I get closer to a meat and as I'm like just like paying more attention to like what I'm eating and like just like dialing in everything, and especially with taper, like I drop weight pretty significantly. Like even like the week of this past meet, like I was hydrating really well. I was on top of my food and I still was like 2 or 3 pounds under a day out. And I was like, what the hell? But during for CNATs last year, a week out, I was a pound under, and day of, I was 6 pounds under. And that just like, I think that's a big part of why like squats tanked so bad, especially. Um, but yeah, like I get so nervous. Like even now, like even for this past meet, I got pretty nervous for squats, just because of like you don't want to bomb out, and that's when you're most likely to bomb out. And also just the environment at the meet was a little bit conducive to anxiety.
Nah,
Yeah.
absolutely being light and all that definitely tank your squat right then, because
Yeah.
nobody knows more about being a whole weight class below your weight class in the last year than me, because it's been
Yeah.
not even just now, but in my last two meets, which states like it was the best total I had, but I literally only got my opening squat, and I was like 80, I was like 84 as a 90. So
Yeah. It wasn't great. I'll say that. Um, but yeah, I didn't want that to happen this time, and so I was very on top of everything. Only weighed in 2 pounds light this time. So
It's better than the latter. I mean,
yeah.
a lot. Yeah, some people actually miss weight there.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, we already talked about that. Like, I guess that came off kind of weird.
Mhm.
Anyways, but what were some like things that yeah, like some pros, cons of the meet, like some things that you liked, some things you said it was conducive to anxiety. Maybe elaborate.
Okay. So I guess I'll start with the cons then. So I got to the meet like a little bit before 7 when weigh-ins were supposed to start. And at that point I had my lot number. I knew that I was supposed to be like the sixth person to weigh in. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be ready. I actually woke up at 4 a.m. the day of the meet because I was just like I went to sleep early and so it was fine. But I woke up like
Okay.
at 4 a.m. and I was just like so amped. Like I was so excited to get to DNA and to like get weighed in and get everything started. And so like I was already really light when I woke up, and so I just started eating when I woke up. And so I wasn't worried about how long weigh-ins were gonna take, because I could drink water, I could eat, it was fine. Um, but weigh-ins started late for the guys, and then they started even later for the girls. And I was like, okay, so the meet's gonna start late. Cool. And then I noticed the line was taking a long time. I was like, okay, that's great. Not ideal, but whatever. And then while I was waiting in line, I asked the meet director about the flight situation, because I noticed the night before, because I'm the one of the team captains for Georgia Tech, for our powerlifting team, and I had noticed that there were only 5 people in flight A, and we had 2 girls in flight A, and so I was like, okay, the rules are like, I'm pretty sure in the rules it says they have to add time to like make up for um make up to like 6 people. So like there has to be at least 6 people on a flight, and if not, then you have to add enough time to make it as if there were 6 people. Um, and so I asked the meet director, I said, hey, are you going to do that? And she said, I don't know. I think we might like move the flights around. And I was like, okay, when are we going to know that? And she said, I don't know. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
um, so anyway, I weigh in, I start hydrating, like I'm chugging water, and like I had like 5 liquid IVs that day, I think. But like I think I had a gallon of water before the end of the session. But so I'm hydrating, I'm eating, I'm talking to Grayson and Eli, and I like every like 15 or so minutes, like I go check and I'm like, hey, do you guys know yet? And I'm checking the lifting cast to see like, hey, the flight's been moved, like what's going on? And every time I check, she doesn't know. I'm like, okay, great. And it gets to like 7:30. Um, nobody's weights are really in lifting cast, or not 7:30, 8:30. Nobody's weights are in lifting cast. Nobody's openers are in lifting cast. Nothing has changed about the flights. And so I'm like, okay, what's going on? And so finally, at like I think it was like 8:35, they tell us like, hey, flights A and B are being like combined. I was like, great, that's awesome to know, considering the meet's supposed to start at 9, and they
Yeah.
kept telling us it's supposed to start at 9. And so I was like, okay, great. Um, and so immediately like everybody floods to the warm-up room because we had to start warming up.
Yeah.
And because nobody's openers were in lifting cast, we had no idea what order we're supposed to go in. You can't time warm-ups if you don't know what order you're going in. And so like I think probably like 10 of the girls from flight A were all warming up on the same rack, which was ridiculous because it was there were 4 combos in there, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it was just really stressful because like you can't time warm-ups, and like I had all the times set in my notes app, but like can't time anything.
No, I
Um,
was a victim of that as well. Like my boy Easton sprinted out there and like got the fastest start command from ever. I
oh
don't.
my God.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
it was terrible. I thought like, and we needed it to hit the QT to go to Cnats. So if that would have like thrown off his entire day, I would have been so mad.
Yeah.
And I'm, you know, more so that's on like that's definitely on me as a coach to like be more accountable. But like yeah, like not having like a TV or whatever, like it really sucked. We talked
Yeah.
to like for the most part, like the energy was great. Everything was for the most part just this disorganization that like
Yeah.
had everyone like anxious or like go like a little like yeah I was on, like wired until I got Easton squat ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I was coaching Jules and she was in flight A. So I like the whole time you're talking about this, I was on the pod with Jules. I was literally like going through the same thing, talking about how they merged the
yeah.
flights out of nowhere and we're
It
all
was
in yeah.
like it would have saved so much time to just add that minute to flight A. And nowhere in the rules does it say that that you should combine flights if that's the case. Like I read through the rule book because I was like, there's no way. Like this doesn't make any sense. Um, and sure enough, like
The
you're
bigger issue was this: they weren't prepared. Like
yeah,
the day before, they had 3 lifters not in a flight, and they didn't have anything set. Like I'm trying to do prep, like I talked about. They had like 8 people not assigned, and they just weren't prepared. Like they didn't prepare y'all. They didn't prepare for themselves.
yeah. Um, but yeah, and so them combining flights A and B, I think it ended up being a 15-person flight, which is like the absolute max that you can have. And I don't think I've ever trained with like 15-minute breaks for singles. So it was just really weird. Like I wasn't prepared for that. Um, but yeah. I mean, otherwise, like once squats like were done, it moved pretty fine. Like, I mean, the warm up room was cramped, and it definitely sent me a little like during like squat warm ups. Like, I'm very wired during squat warm ups, and so like it did not help to like have that many people just like crammed into a room, like have so much chaos going on. Once like squat opener was done, I was pretty good to go. Um,
Mhm.
for the rest of the day, like I was able to like figure it out from there, especially because everybody's openers were actually in the computer. But
Yeah. And so the only question I have about your performance is like, what was that third deadlift decision like? Going up 12 and a half keys, shooting for 426 dots versus 413. Obviously, you had 400 keys in the bag for your total, but you went above and beyond and added 10 keys to that.
yeah. So like I said, the main goal was to go 9 for 9, or mostly to have fun. And I was having fun at that point. And so my coach told me top end was 170, and I kind of gate kept some of my conventional stuff toward the end of prep because like I didn't know what was going to come of it. Um, but I had hit a 330 double like a couple days before the whole sumo conventional switch stuff happened. But I hit a really strong 330 double a couple days before that. And then 6 days out, I hit another really strong 330 single. And so I was like, okay, I think like 374 could be there. Um, and after my second attempt deadlift, I knew that I'd won the meet after because I was the last deadlifter, and so I could see what everybody put in. I was like, okay, like I've won the meet. Might as well like put something on there that'll be really fun. Um, and I was like fairly confident that I could get it. Um, but yeah, um, like if I gotten it, it would have
AKA
been
run that
cool,
shit up.
huh?
I said AKA run that shit up, basically.
Yeah. And after my first attempt, Grayson did try to convince me to load 160 for my second just to like secure the 400 kilo total. I was like, no, I'm gonna go with the plan because I think 157 and a half was the heaviest that my coach had put in for my second attempt. Um, and so I was just like, no, we're just gonna go with the plan. We're gonna see how it goes. And in hindsight, I'm kicking myself because 397 and a half is just so close, and I know that I had more. Um, but yeah, like my boyfriend does photography, and he took some pictures of like me going to the score table and putting in that 170. I was just so excited. Like a couple months ago, I never would have dreamed that I would have been able to pull 374, let alone conventional, like all things considered. Um, and so I was just like so happy to do it. And I mean, if I got it, who cares? If I didn't get it, who cares? Like it was just a really fun day. Um, but yeah, probably should have loaded 167 and a half, but it is what it is.
I mean, you already secured a win. There's no reason not to have fun, you know? But
Yeah.
Avery mentioned it earlier, but you did mention your coach there. How did you link up with him? How did y'all start the process of him coaching you?
Yeah, I met him through a mutual friend. And a couple weeks out from state, she told me, she was like, "Hey, like PJ could coach you if you wanted after state going to Cnats." And I was like, "Are you sure?" Like, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm sure." And so after state, like a couple, like literally like the next day, I was texting him. He was writing on my program, but yeah, it's been like smooth sailing ever since. Like I really like his coaching. His like we figured out like a really good formula for me, and my lifts have been going up and up ever since. Like
Mhm.
I think even like in the 8 week period between state and CNATs, I put 10 kilos on my competition total. And like out of competition, like in the gym, I think I put 10 kilos on my squat. I put um 5 on my bench, and I don't think I put anything on my deadlift just because my deadlift peaks really well, and it doesn't always show up in training, especially with conventional.
Mhm.
But I did lock out 160 on the platform, so that was a pretty big like just gym PR. But like they didn't give me white lights.
Yeah, for
uh,
sure. And
but
then
yeah, um,
Yeah, but so obviously 3 meets in the books now. Been training seriously for a year and a half, about to go into your second collegiate nationals. How happy are you with your progression so far to be already two-time national person in a year or 2 years to be on this high of a level that easily? How happy are you with that?
I'm really happy with it. There's definitely more that I want to do, obviously. Um I obviously haven't done everything that I want to do yet. And I definitely think that I could stay in this sport for a long time. And so like this is just the beginning. Um and I think part of like the fact that I've been able to go to collegiate Nats twice is just because the
Mhm.
girls' QTs are significantly lower, but like they don't seem as competitive in my opinion, but maybe that's just me. um and so I'm really happy to be able to go in this time, like knowing that I can pull off something a little crazy. And like not necessarily, I don't know that I'll podium. That'd be ridiculous. But I'd like to get like top 10. It'd be really cool.
Mhm.
So do you already like are you like one of those athletes that like look at like your opponents or like do you kind of just go in there blind, like fingers crossed?
Um, I look at them a little bit. Like I mean, obviously the roster for Cnats isn't even out yet because nobody's registered. But
Yeah.
as soon as the roster is like filling out, I'll probably look at it. I'm signed up for Ronats in September, and I've like sneaked a peek at some people, and like I've got no chance against those folks, but it'll be really fun. Um, and like I know some 67s, like just like I've somehow linked up with a bunch of 67s across the country, and so like I've got an idea, which is why I'm not saying that I'll podium, but um, but yeah, I
But
definitely do.
do
I
you know
just
what you
definitely do
placed
stock the
last
ops.
year out of
I think it
everybody?
was 33rd or 32nd.
32nd.
Not great. Like I
But
said,
yeah, I
six for
mean, you're
nine.
talking about like even like the possibility of a podium. I mean, you're obviously looking at great improvement there. So
Yeah. Um, I think at CNATS last year I totaled 362 and a half. Um, so I think it's 35 kilo meet PR just at this meet and with room left in the tank. So
Mhm.
I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, since we're on the topic of CNAS, I was wondering, you went last year. Obviously, we've already talked about that a little bit. Are there anything that you're like wanting to see maybe different this year? Like maybe as far as like the production of the meet goes, or maybe just the atmosphere. Is there anything different?
Um, I honestly I wouldn't change much about CNATs. Like I thoroughly enjoyed CNATs last year. I mean, aside from the anxiety and the going 6 for 9, I think the atmosphere was really good. I think the production value was really good. Like especially after Sheffield last year, like everybody wanted to have really high production value in their live streams and in um, everything that came out of the meet in terms of media. And I think they did that really well. I love the video of me like coming on for my first squat. Like it was just very like they got like up in your face a little bit, but just the quality of the video, like they really wanted to like make it like interesting for the audience. And I wouldn't change any of that. But yeah. Um
Well,
I don't love that it's like all the way down by the airport, but like it is what it is.
yeah, at least you don't got to catch a flight.
Yeah, I can sleep in my own bed. It'll be so nice.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure, for sure. And
Um,
then looking towards CNATs, what are your specific goals? Like you want to pull this, you want to press this, you want to squat this. Like what are we looking at total wise and SPD?
Okay. I don't totally know. Like I don't know what's delusional and what's not.
Give us the
I think
delusional.
the delusional. Okay. 160 squat, so 353.
Mhm.
That'd be a 5 kilo PR over the next couple weeks. At this point, I just want a 198 bench. Like I was hoping to get a 200 bench by the end of 2023, and that just like my triceps are not with the program. Like I've got to do something about that. But I'd like to bench 198. And then deadlift, I'm gonna come back for 170 at least. I think I'd like 3 reds on the platform, so 386. So what is that? 175, 90, and 160. It's like 425.
Something like that. I don't feel like doing math, but yeah, I don't think that's delusional at all. I think you gave me the conservative ones.
Um,
She didn't want to sound crazy, Eli.
All right then. You do you. But going into Cnats, what overall is your mindset? Like you talked about, I want a podium, I want to be top 3. I know my competitors a little bit. Talk about like how you zone in the gym to focus on like, hey, I got to beat this people. I got to be the greatest I can be. Like, are you one that's focused like, I know I can be great. I know I can do this. Or are you just going in there?
I'm honestly just going in there, following my program and doing the best I can, trying not to overshoot. I think it can be helpful to like aim for other people. Like I have like people that I know, like even like people in Georgia that like are very similar to me in strength. And so like anytime they post, like, because our weeks aren't really synced up, anytime they post, I'm like, I have to beat that next block.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I have a friend Cassidy, like she's like our like squats are pretty similar. And so like anytime she posts a squat PR, I'm like, I have to get that next time I have doubles or something like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But like I think most of the motivation for me is like just like internal. Like I'm like sure it'd be cool to like beat like whoever. But like in reality, like whatever I do in the gym and whatever they do in the gym is very separate from each other. And so like all I can really do is like go into training, do my best in training, control all the variables I can, go into the meet, controlling all the variables I can, making sure that my weight's on point, making sure that training going in is just consistent. And just kind of like focusing on like the best that I can do on the day. Cause like in the end, like I want to have like you want every meet to be a 9 for 9 meet because that's going to be the most representative of your strength. Um, so that's kind of just like how I'm going into it. Like I want a 9 for 9 meet. I haven't had one yet. But yeah.
I feel you. And
Yeah,
then
nah, you got a real. All right, Eli, go ahead.
I was gonna say you talk about consistency right there. What are like the consistent things you keep in your training? Like obviously you talk about nutrition. Do you track your nutrition? Do you like worry about your sleep, what your training schedule? Also like some wacky things like in the gym, like is there a certain pre-gym meal that you eat every time? Like I know I'll have a good squat session if I grab this. Or like me, I wear the same fit to squat every Monday. I was like, if I'm not wearing
Okay.
this, I'm gonna overshoot.
Yeah, I track my nutrition and everything. Like I'm not like I don't have a nutritionist or anything. Like I'm not that serious about it. Just because I'm in college, like I can't afford that kind of thing. Um, I've like gotten better this last prep of just like kind of paying attention to like the finer details of my nutrition. Um, I do pay attention to sleep. Like I do tend to like go through cycles of like not being able to sleep very well. Like I think um most of my peaking block, I just like was having terrible sleep. And I think part of it was due to like stress from finals, stress from like getting ready for the meet. Then I had to just like calm down and be like, okay, I'm gonna focus on finals for now, do my lifts after, whatever. And then once finals are over, I can like really dial in and like make sure that I'm sleeping and like not be nervous anymore. And part of that was actually switching from sumo to conventional because my problem with sumo was that I was never confident in it. Like my strength seemed to vary wildly from session to session. And so, and like my technique was just like really hit or miss. And so,
Mhm.
literally the moment that I decided to switch from sumo to conventional, I was sleeping perfect. Like I didn't have any issues with sleep going to the meet for the last 2 weeks of prep.
Mhm.
But yeah, I pay attention to my sleep. And I usually train in the morning just because like later in the day, like I'm too tired. Like I don't want to go anywhere. And so I train in the morning just to like kind of get it out of the way and like get like the early morning like adrenaline and kind of get my day started that way. I don't have any like particular like meals that I have before lifting. Like I usually like try to get like something like really carb dense, like a bagel or some shit. Um, and then for a while I did have like a specific go-to outfit for like my primary squat and deadlift day. But now I just kind of like I mix it up more, especially because like I don't know, it's winter and so temperature is going to vary a lot in the gym. But usually if like it's a heavy day, I'll like wear one of like my A7 crops and some shorts. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you mentioned you talked a little bit about like finals and stuff. So I was gonna ask like uh how do you kind of balance this powerlifting thing with, the rigorous school, your engineering, STEM majors. So how would you say you find yourself balancing school, life, any other extracurricular things?
It's definitely hard because on top of school and powerlifting, I also work part-time, and so it is definitely a struggle. Like it helps me a lot to just like keep my calendar, like keep everything that I have to do like on a bunch of different lists. So I have like a spreadsheet where I have a list of all the school stuff that I have to do this semester. I have my Google Calendar, which has everything like blocked out as best as I can because like lifting, like you never know quite how long it's going to take. Um and just like trying to stay on top of everything. So yeah, I keep a lot of lists, like a lot of checklists, a lot of like calendars everywhere. That's about how I handle it. This time last year, actually, I was interviewing for the job that I ended up getting over the summer, and they like saw my resume that I put like my involvement in GT barbell. And I like they had me like talk some about it, and I was like, yeah, I power lift, like it's a pretty big time commitment, and um, I like basically told them like that like because my schedule is so full because of powerlifting, because of school, because of work, it actually makes it easier to manage everything because like I have to focus on something all the time, which is probably not the healthiest. But
Mhm.
they hired me, so I think it looked pretty good on the resume to be able to manage my time with that. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel you there. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm similar because I'm in engineering. At Georgia, it's a lot easier because it's a way smaller engineering school. The classes are pretty much bogus. Kennesaw was the easiest. Kenesaw's so like the people there are so dumb. It's crazy. Shout out them. Uh, but
Oh
yeah,
my
I mean,
god.
I do terrible scheduling.
Uh,
Like I just kind of wing everything with quizzes, test, homework, and then I
Yeah.
get like caught. I get held up with like four things due, and I just stress it all out, and then I'm good.
Bro just
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
alienated like a third of our fan base of like 9 people.
Yeah, but they won't deny it either though. Dude, KSU classes were so light at in engineering. It was crazy. Um yeah, so as like you said, you're graduating sooner than later and you're kind of moving into your life. We usually or I see a disconnect where people leaving their college town, separating from this like community they've had in lifting. What is your motivation to stay in the sport? Like, where do you look to kind of stay motivated to train, to stay in powerlifting, to stay involved in the community, even when you're moving on from Georgia Tech?
Well, like I said, I was in Michigan over the summer and I'm really glad that I was within reasonable driving distance of a really good powerlifting gym. And so I've like already built like some community up there. And so like I'm moving there after I graduate. And so like I already have like a community kind of like on reserve. But I think just the because of how involved like everybody like especially in the college scene is on social media with their powerlifting. I think like I'm not worried about like losing touch with anyone or like losing that community, especially because GT barbell is um like it's like my main like social thing. Like we hang out all the time, we go to the gym together. um like I'm not worried about like losing that community if it makes sense. And I'm
Yeah.
excited to go back to my gym community up in Michigan. Like I talk to them all the time. Like I'm really, really glad that I found a good community up there, like right off the bat. Like I have a friend whose coach lifts at F3 up in Michigan, and I texted him and I was like, hey, would you recommend this gym? And he was like, yeah. And so literally the first day that I was up in, or the second day, because the first day it was like a 13-hour drive. The second day I was up in Michigan, I just went up to the gym owner and I was like, hey, can I get a membership? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, cool. And so that's just kind of how it ended up.
What is that community up there like that you're particularly in? Is it like for the most part like feds on a stiff bar, or because I know those northern states they're kind of more split a lot of times, right? Between like USBA and
I think most people at that gym specifically do train USAPL. Um, the gym owner trains, like he's a master's athlete in USAPL. There's definitely like some like untested and some whippy bar people, but it's still like a good community, I think. Yeah.
yeah, no, I was just
Yeah,
curious
no,
because
I
like
know a
I swear
few
if you
people
looked
up
up there,
there.
those. No, go ahead,
Um,
Tony.
Nah, I mean, I was just gonna say my old coach. He used to be in there all the time, and he was literally the whippy. You definitely don't know, but he was like the whippy bar guy. Um, but yeah, that's dope that you got that community up there and stuff. It looks sick. But you mentioned a
yeah.
little bit about Georgia Tech and like the club and everything. So I kind of wanted to dive into that a little bit. You said you have like an officer position in the club,
Yes. So,
like a
so at the end of last year, our club president Ryan, he approached me and he was like, "Hey, like I want to make this new position for next year. It's called powerlifting team captain. It'd be like at the time he wanted it to be me and Ethan." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I don't live on campus, and so sometimes it's kind of hard to be involved in stuff like other positions. Like I think we have a VP of internal affairs, a VP of external affairs, and like because I'm not around that much, like I didn't want to commit to an officer position that like requires me to be like at events because like my schedule is really full and it's like a 30-45 minute drive down to Atlanta. And so I didn't want to like commit to anything like that.
right.
But like powerlifting team captain, I was like, okay, I powerlift. I can be a leader, I think. And
Okay,
so basically that position is just like engaging people, like trying to get people to compete in meets, and like making sure that everybody's prepared for meets. So like going into the last meet and going to Rookie Rumble, I was like sending out like so many announcements, like trying to be like, okay, everybody, like this is what you need. Like these are the things that you have to compete. Like you have to have deadlift socks, you have to have a singlet. If you don't, reach out to me, reach out to like this other person, like we will get you ready. Just please make sure that you have all these things, and like sending out like neat information, in case like they miss it in their email, because we've had a lot of rookies compete in the last couple meets, and so just like making sure that everybody is prepared has been really essential.
okay.
And yeah.
No, that's dope. You said team captain.
Yeah,
Uh
so I'm a co-team captain. So last semester was with Ethan Stone, he graduated, and so now Grayson's taking over that position.
oh, okay. Well, since you're co-team captain, I got another question. What would you say the like so like whenever you guys are all in the gym together, or like I don't know if you guys have any team practices or anything like that. I know a lot of schools like to do that. But whenever you guys are together, what would you kind of say like the culture of Georgia Tech barbell kind of is? Like what are you guys really trying to aim to do as a club, or you guys really want to care about the competitive aspect, or is it more so just trying to get people involved in the sport and have a good time, or is it a
Um,
combination of everything?
I think it's definitely a combination of everything. We do have team practices. I unfortunately can't go anymore because I just can't rationalize driving all the way out to Trueborn. It's a hike for me. But I think for a lot of people are in the same kind of situation as me because it's such a big school. Like most people in the club are studying engineering or something that's really like time intensive. And so our time in the gym together kind of like is like that's how we've built our community, is like people that are powerlifting, because our club isn't just powerlifting, it's like just a broader fitness club. And then like we have like parts of the club that are focused on powerlifting or focused on bodybuilding and things like that. But the powerlifting part of the club is pretty tight knit, I'd say. Like we have a lot of socials, and it's mostly like the powerlifting team that shows up. Um, but like because we have such intense class schedules, and we have to put a lot of time into the gym for powerlifting, like we spend a lot of time together just like training, and like we'll get like lunch after sometimes. But I think the club is mostly built around just like being together and getting stronger. Like I think that's the most important part to me, at least, of having a club at all, is like having all these people that we all have a common goal. We all want to get strong as fuck, and we get to like hang out with each other while we do it, you know?
Yeah,
Not for sure the
of course.
community.
Yeah, no, that's what I would hope. Most clubs are looking for, just trying to have a group of people to have fun with, and make this monotonous sport a little more bearable.
Yeah.
On those hard days. But
No, I,
Eli,
I, now I was about to say I didn't get another follow up question, but
So I mean, we'll obviously start rattling it down a little here. We don't want to hold you all night, but so in the community, local community, who like I know you said you train with one of your friends at Marietta, but who really drives you locally in the club or in the area? Like who keeps you focused, keeps you accountable? Who is there for you?
yeah, like shout out to your GT barbell people right here and everyone that matters for real.
Yeah.
One that matters.
Um,
To her,
I could say a
like
million. I could list a bunch of people. I think Juliet and Hannah. So Juliet Hartman, she's the one that I trained with a lot at MBB. I met her about this time last year because she was co-oping in the fall, and then she came back, and um, so I hang out a lot with her, just like at the gym. Like we lifted together today, like we both had squat and bench, and so we are just like chatting it up. And she has a really strong work ethic, and that like reinforces my own, and it's really good to like be lifting with someone who has the same motivation as you and the same goals kind of, except she's a lot stronger than me.
I was about to say I believe I competed with her at the Olympia. I just didn't really get to
Yes,
speak.
yeah. She just competed at the Olympia in November. But yeah, she's strong as fuck. And then my friend Hannah, she just transferred to Tech this past fall. She's just really fun to talk to. And she's got big goals in the sport, and I can like I'm someone who has big goals in the sport, and so like I definitely tend to gravitate toward other people who really have that ambition to like keep climbing in powerlifting. Grayson Duggar, and we've been talking about him some. He so initially he was not supposed to handle me at the meet actually, but something happened with my original handler. And the night before, I was like, "Hey, Grayson, can you please handle me? I know you're supposed to volunteer during my session, but can you please handle me?" Like, and he was immediately like, "Yes, of course. Like, I don't need to volunteer. Like, they'll find someone else." Um, which was a huge relief because I wanted someone who could handle me and who like would take it seriously, if that makes sense. So like I didn't want someone who's just gonna just like chop it up with me. Like I needed someone to like keep my head on straight because I can be a very neurotic lifter. And because I wanted to go 9 for 9, like I wanted like good attempt selection, not just like sending it because I wanted to go 9 for 9. Like that was my chief goal of the day. Um and the 170 pull was on me. Like I want to do that one, but so Grayson has been like we've gotten a lot closer the last like month or so. Um, but yeah, and Ethan Stone just graduated, but love that guy. He's so sweet, strong as fuck. um, my friend UV, he's also coached by PJ. We text a lot just because we're coached by the same dude, and so like if we're having a bad day, we're like, "Oh, look at this fucking shit! Like look how bad this shit moved." Or like it's so over, we're so bad, or like I finally figured out this technique, and it's good to like have someone that like also has the same coach, and like because I don't know anybody else that PJ coaches except for UV, and so it's really good to like have that person. Like we just text a lot now. I'm trying to think of everyone that yeah,
I mean, you
that's
ain't
like
got to
the
name them all. I mean, they never
Yeah,
really
yeah,
are.
no
gotta
no
shout
pressure.
out everyone. I'm gonna shout out
Yes.
everyone that I care about.
True. But yeah, you did mention your goals there. So let's get blunt answers. I want like solid answers here. Get a little delusional if you have to. Goals in the sport. How high do you plan to reach? How long do you plan to stay in it? Where are we going from here?
Um, hmm. I'd
Say
love
it.
to squat 400 one day. That'd be so sick. Um,
Higher.
I higher. That's crazy.
Higher.
Um, I have no idea what to ever expect out of bench, but I think 105. So what is that? 231. That'd be cool. Deadlift. I don't even know. Like I was talking to a friend one time, and he told me what he thought that I could do, like if I like stay in the sport, through like my best performance years. And he told me those numbers, and I was like, that sounds insane. And so I don't want to like jinx it and say them and then never be able to hit them. But I don't know. I just want to stay in the sport for as long as I can. Like I really enjoy the sport. I really enjoy just lifting. And I enjoy the community in it a lot. And so if I stop enjoying the community, that's probably when I'll stop. But yeah, I don't have any specific goals. Like I definitely want to get really good. I want to podium at Cnats one day maybe, but that's a really long way away. And so right now I'm just trying to enjoy the process, enjoy really chaotic local meets and going to Cnats and just having fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
So I mean, obviously we talked about who drives you locally. We talked earlier also, you keep up with the higher end of the sports, the Worlds, the Nats, the Sheffields. Who are your inspirations in the sport? Like you look at to a lifter and like, I think I could be there one day. I think I could be on that stage, or I want to lift like them, or they inspire you to be better.
Hmm. I will say I'm not deep into the sport. Like I don't have an idol or anything. Like I don't have someone that I like really look up to. Um like I think I don't know.
Who are you a
Um
fangirl of? Like who's your
a fangirl?
who you be following on Instagram? Who you be seeing all the time?
I follow Gabby Martinez. Um I follow Gabby Malater, or not Gabby Malater. Oh my God. Um why can't I remember her name?
Are we a Cass fan or
Wait, Cass.
from game day? What's her actual handle?
It's
Is
Cass
it
lives.
Cassie Lifts?
Yeah,
I follow her.
yeah, it's something like that. Like
I
Cassandra
follow like
Cole.
I followed all the 67s that were like in the prime time after prime, because I like until this past Ron Nats, like I wasn't really like aware of most people. Like I knew Mandy, she's super sweet. And um Jackie Malater, that's her name. I knew like of Jackie Malater um going into Ron Nats because my friend Hannah is friends with her. Um I don't know, like all the like watch it. Oh, Christian Hazard or Chris.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to
Christy
mispronounce her
Hazard
name.
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's
No,
strong
she's an
as
animal.
fuck. She's
She's a complete
insane.
like she's an animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, like I don't know. Like I just enjoy like watching the sport, and like I the more that I'm in it now, like the more I like see names a bit more frequently. I'm like, oh, okay, I know that name. But yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I mean, you haven't been like tapped in really, and like you're still like 2 years in the sport. So like, I'm not for me like for more of the older names. I've just been like I've been in it for so long that they're ingrained. I think about it more than I think about my friends. It's weird, you know.
For sure, for sure, for sure. All right, so these are our final three questions we ask every lifter. We're gonna wrap this up, let you go, not keep you up too late. Advice to a newer lifter, a young lifter just getting in the sport. What kind of advice are you gonna give them?
Um, Stop ego lifting. If you're trying to compete, actually like pay attention to what the standards are for that. Find a community as fast as possible. and don't wait to compete. I think my biggest regret is that I didn't start competing sooner. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I really loved the last one. I really loved the last one. So that was a great answer.
Yeah, I've been seeing it a lot everywhere, like people saying like, hey, just compete, like just do it. And like I wouldn't have competed much sooner than I did. Like I probably would in like 2 or 3 months, but like it would have been something.
Yeah,
But yeah.
no, I posted on my story in the last couple of months about something like literally like the strongest version of you is the one who like cares about it even the slightest as early as possible. You know, like
Yeah,
literally pick up a barbell.
exactly.
For sure. That kind of leads us into our next one of biggest mistake you've made. Obviously, that could be waiting to compete, but what is the biggest mistake you've made that you want to warn people about?
Taking it too seriously too early, I think. I think that was the reason that I was so nervous for my first couple of meets, is I was just like so in my head. I was like, I have to get these numbers. I have to do it right. I like if I mess up, it'll be the end of the world. And it's not the end of the world. Like I messed up and the world kept turning. Like I had a bad day. I went back to the Airbnb and cried in the shower. Like but like at the end of the day, like we do this because we have goals in it and we enjoy it. And so why like stress so much about it? Why like especially early on? Like I was at my second meet sobbing after squats because I missed my third attempt. And I think some of that's warranted, but I think to an extent like it's not that deep. You missed a squat. Okay.
Yeah. No, like not telling people like not to care about things, but they're also like I feel like so many people don't acknowledge there are levels to this. So, you know,
Yeah.
like for whatever that is for this person, like you think about like getting to a higher level and then shitting the bed, completely be upset. But like
Yeah.
either way, the sport's really like living with whatever the result is and working either way. Like if you do good,
Yeah.
you're gonna keep working. If you do terrible, you're gonna keep working or you're gonna quit,
Exactly.
you know.
Yeah. Like I think like sometimes like I don't know, taking it too seriously too early. But also like never mind. Yeah, taking it too seriously too early is probably just like the biggest mistake that I made. Because it meant like I went into every session during those first two preps so nervous because I just like I said, like I get performance anxiety for like meets and things like that. Like I've only ever, or not only, but like since high school, I've only ever done meets where my performance depends solely on me. Like not like soccer where you're just passing the ball or you're like working as a team. Like my performance depends solely on me, and adjusting my mindset for like as an adult and figuring out like okay, it's not the end of the world if I have a bad day or if I have a bad training session. It just matters like where I go from there. um and so I think
Yeah.
now that I've like realized that, it's been on the up and up.
Yeah, that's dope. I like what you said there.
Can't hear you,
Changing your
can't hear you, brother.
mindset as an adult. Yeah, you can't hear me?
The beginning, but just say your thing again.
Oh, I was just saying I like what she said there about changing her mindset as an adult and not letting yeah, your failures, your mistakes, hold you back. But
For sure, for sure, for sure.
For sure.
To wrap this phenomenal episode up, technique tip, squat, bench, or deadlift, give us something interesting. Anything that's really boosted one of
Hmm.
those lifts for you, anything that like really clicked in your head, can be something really small, something huge, just a technique tip.
Okay. Um, Obviously no technique tip coming from me is going to apply to everybody, but like I think the biggest thing that has really exploded my bench in the past year, because my bench has seen like I think I hit like a 12.5 kilo meet PR at this meet on bench. The biggest thing was figuring out like realizing that like oh my butt just like has to barely be on the bench, like they just have to like not be able to see under my butt, like that's all. Like I didn't realize that for a long time, and so like realizing that like was helped me like minimize my ROM a little bit by getting a higher arch. really like honing in like my setup and stopping like I stopped taking lift offs after Cnats because I got a pretty bad lift off on my third. And so I've just been doing self handoffs pretty much since. And so that gives me a lot more control over like more control and more awareness over like where the bar is, and like how to set up from there. And so like there's nothing unpredictable about my setup anymore. Um, and like thinking about like my coach actually just gave me this cue this week because I think I forgot it between my taper and getting back into lifting this week or this past like week and a half, was to like think of like especially during like higher rep sets on bench is after every rep to like breathe in a little, like reset your brace and like think about like pushing your ribs higher, because like I struggle with like my arch like flattening out especially on like high rep sets. And so that's really helped. And something that like, so normally like you wouldn't want to change anything about your technique a week or two out, but my coach, like, I can't remember what it was exactly. But I can't remember what prompted it, but he told me to like think about squeezing the bar with my, because I have a wide grip, to think about squeezing the bar with my ring and pinky fingers. And that like changed everything. Like my bench has felt so consistent since then. Like I feel like very in control of the bar and of my arch and everything. But yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know that.
I was about to say
Oh,
I
go ahead.
really like that. That's like telling you to bend the bar without giving people that cue of like bending the bar, like really feeling secure on it. You
Yeah.
know?
Bench is the only lift where I am like capable of thinking during the lift, I think. Like I don't know what it is about squat and deadlift, but I have a really hard time thinking about any sort of cues. Like bringing in a new cue on those lifts is very, very difficult. Whereas with bench, it's a lot easier for me, I think. Recently, like I said, during my peak, I had some issues with center of mass control. And what's really been helping with that is having comp squat twice a week now so that I can get a little bit more practice with that. But also like my coach gave me this cue saying like belt to heels and like that wasn't really quite clicking for me, because I don't know, like it's just not something that like makes sense to me. Um as my problem was I would go into the hole and I would have most of my weight in like my toes, I guess. And then when I would come out of the hole, I would rock back onto my heels and I would lose all control of the bar. Like I couldn't get it up. And so just basically thinking like, okay, just put all my weight in my heels, like because all my weight isn't in my heels. Like there's going to be some weight in my toes. It just helps me keep my center of mass a little bit better, and it's helped a lot. Obviously, that's probably not going to apply to most lifters. I just have a really hard time conceptualizing keeping the weight over my midfoot, and so just thinking about putting more pressure in my heel helps me personally.
Yeah, not for sure. I mean, everything's individual, but that's a cue that Steve DeNovi put out there not too long ago, and not just saying like it's a good cue, but not everything works for everybody.
Yeah.
So for sure.
Yeah, I needed something that was very easy to think about while I squat because belt to heels is like a very like external cue. And it's just very hard for me to like put together in a squat. Especially like I think my coach first brought it up to me probably at like 3 blocks out or 2 blocks out. And it just like was not making sense for me.
Yeah, I don't get that cue either, and I have that same issue. It doesn't happen often, but like I will, if I do lose balance, it's because I'm going forward onto my toes.
Yeah.
So I do think mostly about my heels. But yeah, no, yeah, like the belt to heel, because I heard that from Steve as well. The belt to heel thing doesn't make sense to me, but to some other people, it actually like is like the
Like
cue
life
or
change.
whatever. So yeah, I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm just gonna do my little thing over here. But I totally get what you mean.
Yeah. And cues for deadlift. I don't know. Maybe this isn't a cue, but maybe don't switch stances 2 weeks out. But it worked out for me. But um, I honestly think pulling sumo has helped my conventional a lot though, because I don't know, like some of the technique that I learned for sumo, just like in terms of like bracing and like keeping my arms long has like really like helped with my conventional. Um, Everything else obviously doesn't transfer because it's a completely different toll. But yeah.
Okay.
Well,
But
it's been
no,
a
I think that covered it. But no, I mean,
for sure.
it was a great episode.
Plug anybody
Unless
you want
you have
right
another.
now. Plug your socials. Call out anybody you want. This is the chance.
At Lilia Lifts on Instagram. That's all I got. Go check out my coach. He's really cool. PJ Powerlift.
Phenomenal.
Really cool dude, super strong. He'll be even stronger when he actually fills out his weight class. But
Ain't that the truth?
But no, it was super great having you on. I think it was one of our better episodes for sure. You gave us a lot. You gave us a lot back with your answers and everything. It was really dope.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
It's always good to
I
get
can
some
talk a lot.
diversity.
So
Yeah, for sure, for
yeah,
sure, for
thank you for
sure.
having me on. I hope that my yapping wasn't a little bit excessive.
No, it
All good
was
here.
phenomenal
All
for
good
sure.
here.
It was good.
But we appreciate you giving us some of your time. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming on. Thank you for dealing with the scheduling and trying to
No
set that
worries.
up. But
Yeah.
peace.
Yeah. Thank you. See y'all.